All right, guys, I'm going to say something, and this is something that I would say the single most intelligent person I know in the industry, and I know some pretty smart guys in the coaching business, but I'm going to say probably the most intelligent person I know is Alex Viada. And this is an opinion he holds regarding periodization, and he's often joked about it and said, look, it's basically voodoo that coaches use to sound smarter than they are, right? That's oftentimes the case, and a lot of it really is voodoo. He's like, there's no real scientific evidence to back the idea that things like overreaching, like planned overreaching and then deloading, and a lot of these schemes actually do anything. Okay, oftentimes they work on placebo, or it's coaches using it to sell complex programming. And I'm of the opinion that we don't always have to do that. I mean, yes, I do use some placebo as a coach. There are times when it has a place, but the bulk of our training should not revolve around it. And that's kind of the point there. Occasionally, it's helpful with an athlete to do something to trick them into performing better, but it shouldn't be the basis of our programming. Okay, and he's pointed that out. Look, it doesn't seem to be the case. That in fact, as long as we're not experiencing overuse, we can mix modalities in the same days, the same weeks. We don't have to separate things into phases. There's not a real proven benefits to any of that. Okay, and it doesn't mean you have to max out all the time if you don't want to. I certainly run phases where we hit rep maxes instead of testing maxes all the time. Not because I have to, but because I choose to do it that way. But the thing is, we can grow year round. We can keep hypertrophy work in our training year round. And in fact, I would advise that we probably should. We should probably keep a decent amount of rep work in our training year round. And you know what? You can progressively overload year round. You can just do very, very slow progressive overload. For example, you could pick a target rep range. You could come in and do for an assistance lift. Like you see me right there doing some safety bar squats. You could set safety bar squats as an assistance lift for hypertrophy and do 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 10 to 20. You could decide that that's the rep range you want to keep it in and just slowly add over time. In other words, you could literally take that weight and say, you know what, I want to do 12 to 20 reps on this exercise for 3 sets for the whole year. Add reps here and there. Add a little weight when you want. You don't have to reach the 20 before you say, you know what, I feel like adding 5 pounds. I feel like adding 2.5 pounds. You can just maintain a slow upward trend on that movement. As long as you don't cut or overtrain, you'll be okay. Because now the question, do we ever really have to cut? Well, what if we only just focus on making really slow gains as advanced lifters? Do we always have to cut? Are we happy with our body fat? Or can we say, you know what, I'm happy to gain my 2 pounds of muscle per year and just slowly work the scale up? We could do that. We can do that. You can do the same with your training and just slowly work that up. Maybe when you do get to 20, you say, well, I'm able to do 3 sets 20. I should definitely add 5 or 10 pounds now. Okay. You can stop them all short of failure. You can stop a rep short of failure. As long as we're training hard on the sets, you're stimulating growth. Okay? And I want to be clear there. As long as our volumes and our workload are in a stimulus range that we can recover from and then adapt to because it's enough work, we'll see muscle growth. You know, you take all those sets within, a couple reps short of failure. You get them real close to failure. They'll stimulate growth year round. So you just add a little weight here and there when you need to. When you feel the reps are starting to get a little higher than you think is necessary, well, I should probably add a little weight to bring the rep range down just a hair. And as long as here and there you're adding a couple pounds, you're adding a rep over the course of a whole year, are you going to grow? Yes. Now, might you need to rotate that movement out if you feel like overuse is becoming an issue, of course, and you can repeat that same process with another similar movement. Okay? You do the same thing you see me doing a dumbbell presser. Couldn't you do the same thing with your dumbbell pressing? You could do the exact same. You could say, I want to stay between, 10 and 15 reps on these. And just adjust the weight slowly as you get better over the months and months and months. Does anyone out there really believe that won't work? Now, good coaches will monitor your fatigue. They'll keep your total volumes and exercise selection kind of where it needs to be ideally. A good coach knows how to watch for these things. That's where good coaching comes in. But they're not just handing you a cookie cutter template and turning you loose. They're kind of monitoring your fatigue. They want to see what's going on with your lifts. They're going to need, but not in person, they need video footage of a lot of these lifts to assess it. Or if you're going to do it yourself, you need to have enough knowledge to know what you're looking at. But couldn't you do that? Wouldn't that work just as well as any periodization? Because as long as you're getting some heavy work in, whether it's rep maxes, rotating conjugate maxes, as long as we're doing that stuff, we're going to be training the high end of the strength threshold. So most of what we're doing beyond that's either going to be something sport specific for what we're doing. You might, a lot of speed work in conjugate is powerlifter specific. That is a lot of your technique work. Yeah. So as long as we're growing, if we could just do the hypertrophy work on all these accessories year round, as long as there's a general upward trend and we're not experiencing any overuse, aren't we going to grow and get better? And if those muscles are growing, aren't we going to get stronger? Of course we are. There's no evidence that any form of linear, nonlinear, block periodization, mesocycles, that any of that will work better, faster, or safer. Okay? And a lot of the periodization models that we developed came out of the Cold War and had to do with cycling and adding in oral steroids into the stack. Okay, that's where a lot of it came from. So that doesn't even mean just because you're on gear that works, because that had to do with a lot of the very specific drug protocols they were doing, the Russians and stuff were. Well, you're not doing those protocols. Okay? Think about it. It's not necessary. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.